Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that we're going to focus in on today. And that was a comment really describing sort of the aftermath that one experiences emotionally. In other words, what are the emotional ramifications, consequences that one will experience upon being in a relationship with someone who has a personality disorder, like someone who might be narcissistic or psychopathic. So as we know here on the channel, we've defined this a lot, but namely, when we talk about narcissistic or psychopathic relationships, and kind of keeping in tune with the previous video, we're talking about people who will assault and violate your boundaries and eliminate your sense of self. This is very serious. Why would they want to leave you in such emotional wreckage? Why would you feel, as our viewer stated, that his, and he, from his picture, very good looking, mature guy. I'm not sure if he's in his 20s, 30s, but a younger guy, and was stating basically that he feels his emotions are fragmented, compartmentalized, and sort of numb all over. So as you can imagine, this sounds like a very uncomfortable, unpleasant way to live or conduct one's life. However, it's very important to understand how, why, when this occurs, and be crystal clear on what this means for you, the implications involved in being in a relationship with a narcissist or a psychopath. Usually the narcissist is typified or defined by having an insatiable sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy. This is just two main bullet points that just can grow out like a incredible tree with all sorts of branches from this very root. So in other words, like you would see a tree that has the foundation, that one seed, these poisonous, and to quote a very popular term, Britney Spears, toxic, when we're talking about a toxic relationship, it's not like Britney Spears, it's not like, oh, let's just groove to this and isn't this cool? It's like, no, there is something very toxic, poisonous. They poison the well. I mean, poison the seed, the well, the reservoir of emotions within you. So if you can imagine some person who is narcissistic, who has an insatiable, meaning insatiable cannot be satisfied. Oh boy, doesn't that sound fun? Never content, never happy, rageful, moody, argumentative, combative, aggressive, antagonistic. Okay, this is all blooming out in a nice big toxic tree that you might find yourself sitting under and wondering and wanting for more, and feeling like our viewer, like so many have aptly felt, shut down, put down, and basically relegated to the basement, the attic, facing the corner because you are, quote, dissatisfactory. If that's even a word. You are unsatisfactory, that you are disapproved of, you are rejected, you are criticized and condescended, you are belittled, you are made to shrink down. So as you can imagine, when we talk about a narcissist and the consequences or implications or influence. We talk so much nowadays about influencers. You must really understand not just what all the headlines mean and what it means to the populace, the society, the news anchor, what it means to Britney Spears, what it means to Miley Cyrus, what it means to Adele, or what it means to whomever, whoever your celebrity is that you seem to see a lot. So, and we're impaired because the society makes it seem like they are the authority, because they are always put in the light. They're always put in the focus. So just like we're talking in the previous video about our reticular activating, reticular activating system, and we're really concentrating on boundaries here. But for our gentlemen, so feeling this way, I'm going to kind of circle back here in a moment, but also coupling it into sort of in a similar bracket, because here on the channel, I feel that people who have been emotionally abused, physically abused, psychologically abused, pathological liars, people with double lives, all this that we've been talking about, we kind of extend the spectrum. So, to those who are psychopathic. So really on the more severe end of the bell curve. So these people have a complete lack of conscience. So it's kind of like narcissistic on double, triple million steroids. So, and it gives them this great capacity. So in other words, a capacity that they, the psychopath or the narcissist, feels, believes, thinks, contemplates, ruminates on, or mentally masturbates to themselves, basically thinking how great thou art. And they're talking about themselves, basically maybe not talking about themselves, because these people really don't have a sense of self. They are very insecure. They're very unconfident, but they put on airs. They put on a show. They put on a thick skin, which is not derived from the heart. It is very cerebral in nature, meaning of the mind, not of the heart, or really where, home is where the heart is. You might not feel at home with these people. Home is where the heart is. Where is your heart right now? So if it's like startled and you have been afraid, it's because that is the influence, that is the impact, and everybody, the influencers, in other words, to be like them. Why would you want to adapt and adjust and conform to a society that is gravely sick at certain cores? Not all, but specifically, and when we get into the psychopathic, which oftentimes are very, very pronounced influencers, we might see them speaking out in all sorts of forums, whether it's they're movie stars, whether they're politicians that speak out about things that, and then they want their reality, which is contrary to actual reality. They continue to extol and push and promulgate for a sort of false, sort of brainwashing, and then they influence others to sort of be broken. So the psychopath, when I talk about broken, we're referring back to our gentleman here, our viewer, who said, I feel my emotions are fragmented. That doesn't sound pleasant. That they are compartmentalized, meaning that they're sort of put away in a little cubby and they're not to be attended to. Here, there's one for work, there's one for social, there's one for school, there's one for family, there's one for friends, there's one for girlfriends, there's one for fun activities, there's one for their church, there's one for their creative or non-creative outlets. So they have all these different boxes. Have you ever seen a musician who had, like, back in the day, you'd watch music and it's like they would have all these cups and like, under which cup is the ping pong ball? And they're like forever trying to pick up cups and being like, where is my ping pong ball? Where is my sense of self? They will hide that experience from you. Destroy, that experience for you through a pre-calculated, predetermined, premeditated form of manipulation designed to throw you off track. In other words, these are the dream stealers. And I'm not saying this like, oh, somebody stole my dream. I'm talking about, like our viewer said, like many of you said, these people have attempted to rob me of my joy, my happiness, my security, my ability to be independent, my ability to feel strong on my feet, my ability to be at one and be authentic and feel like that's okay and that's enough. So they will rob you of that repeatedly, again and again and again. And the psychopath, so when we're talking about this poor gentleman who's compartmentalizing himself feels broken, i.e., when you're talking about a manipulator, they want to twist and turn and sort of tell you to look over there when it's really over there, and then use all sorts of sort of communication designed to make you jump, make you freak out. You can't, you will be nobody if you don't do this. There is a severe pressure of conformity and sort of a hyper-vigilant focus on the needs of these individuals. And people do not recognize that they are losing their sense of self while in the midst of these relationships. So even though on the outside, so getting back to the psychopath, and we're sort of defining it. We're not here defining, psychopaths, but I'm here to give you kind of a little bit end of the spectrum. These individuals, they have no feeling. They have no emotions. So for example, and we're talking about, I have some, I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I have a lot of really wonderful tools with sort of to reconnect to that real part of yourself. So you're not numb, so you're not broken, and you're not compartmentalized. So namely, I have some tools, of course, if we've discussed a lot of that here, but what I want to understand, so this is just like one of the markers here. So for example, have you ever seen this, or like those boxes with 200 varieties of different colors? So that's like your emotions. They have a lot of colors. They have a lot of panache. They have a lot of pizzazz. Some are brighter, some are warmer, some are cooler, some are this, some are that for different people, but they're all sort of within you, and they are still, to be sort of connected to, like our tree analogy, to a healthy core. And a healthy core is in your abdomen. It is in your solar plexus, the seat of the I am. I am. So beyond anything else, beyond any other definition, I am. So your existence, we're talking about a very, very, the penultimate baseline condition, which is actually the most powerful, because that will connect you once in alignment with everything else in life that's going to be, you're going to soak it in. Because generally, if you have a positive sense of self, you'll attract like to you. But if you've got a core that has been damaged, broken into, violated in your boundaries, taught that you don't have a boundary here, anyone can walk in, walk out, do this, say whatever, and then sort of rule the roost over you. Have you ever heard, of someone saying, well, that woman sure wears the pants in the family? And they'll say it like rolling their eyes. In other words, meaning, that guy is whipped out of shape by that. So, you'll hear other people sort of make these comments. These, this can be very, very painful and confusing and difficult to emerge, be out of, and beyond. So notice I say emerge, because people tend to then go down, 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 and dig deeper within themselves and become harder and harder on themselves in order to placate the promptings or the relationship of these types of these people. So the narcissist, an insatiable need for power and control. And that means control over people. It's like as if they feel that their life is a pawn chess game. And if I want you here now, I want you here now. It doesn't matter what you need. So, in other words, it's according to them. And you should do according to them. You should fill the dishwasher according to them. You should wear your hair according to them. You should not do something according to them. You are such a terrible person according to them. You are this and this and this, and then it will creep in with nasty, dirty sarcasm, designed to the old brainwashing, make you laugh and make you cry, and then be sort of rewarded for negating yourself because you're pleasing this narcissist in all their superficial, which seems to be super important, but it couldn't be further from the truth. So the emotional abuse, have you heard of a broken home? Generally we're talking not about like broken dishes all over the place or a roof that's caved in. We're talking about emotional disorder. We're talking about people who have been defiled, meaning that they have been marred. So as you know, here on the Peace and Harmony channel, I was also studied English in college, in university. So I am very much into the root meaning of words and like definitions, because you must become crystal clear as to what these people are, which is very difficult, because if you want to heal, you must be willing to see them for who they are. However, the narcissist and the psychopath will invest years, months, and decades so that you don't ever call them out, that you don't expose them, that you are too afraid to leave. You've swallowed their bag of lies how many times, to the point where you are always focused on them. And you have sort of abandoned self. The psychopath, a lack of conscience, meaning they have no moral fiber. That's right. I said none. None. The spectrum of the emotions, like we're saying, in most people is a wide spectrum, like a beautiful, rainbow that is just filtering and dancing in the sky after the rain, and you might see it up close and see all sorts of shimmering colors. And it brings joy and delight and mystery and the feeling of miracle, faith and belief. It's uplifting, and you go ooh, and you feel safe, and you feel like you can just become all immersed in that vision. You go, wow, check that out. Or wow, when you're like excited. So, you have a lot of these emotions that the narcissist and psychopath, particularly when we talk about the psychopath, no. They have basically rage and aggression. And that's really pretty much it. And they do not feel fear. These are your risk takers. Both of these are the people who will push you beyond your normal healthy limits. So like our fine gentleman, our fine, beautiful, empowered harmonizer, whether you're a female, a male, a boy, a girl, wherever you're at, this individual is stating about the emotional ramifications. So if you can imagine someone who could get what they want if they only took you down, if they only destroyed you, if they only could remove you from their path, but yet keep you around, to keep you as a decoy, to feed them supply. In other words, the risk-taking behaviors, feeding them supply, meaning how are you used? How are you taken advantage of? How are you squeezed out like a tube of toothpaste, never to be filled again? And then people then try harder and harder and harder, suck it up, work hard and say, oh yeah, I'm going to work on this relationship with a narcissist. It is the psychopath. They are so exciting. They are so charming. They bring all this sort of excitement and fun and late nights and hangovers to my life. It's just such a ball of fun. My life, basically, you don't speak this out. We're talking really about the deeper layers that are going on in the gut that you don't hear, but that, once you really dive down there and you strive to help heal and heal others, you're able to decipher and understand and see sort of the red flags that are waving like this that you can't see because you think those red flags have a big heart, emojis, kiss, kiss, smoochy, smoochy, and the fantasy. Fantasy Island. Hey, Bath, the planet here. Bath, the planet here. Fantasy Island. You think the relationship with the psychopath, that is the lie. The lie. They will break you down. This is how they get where they want to go, but they will not allow you to see it. They have a skill. If you can understand that because if we start with a psychopath, because of their very intense, limited repertoire of emotions, namely that of rage and greed. So if you have ever seen someone who is a rage or a rageaholic, what does that look like? Road rage. What is that person doing? They're violating the lines. Have you ever seen someone on road rage? I mean, they're cruising 20, 30, 40 miles above the speed limit. They are cruising on the shoulder. They're almost destroying their car. They have somewhere to go, and all they care about is that. So everyone else, including the law, they feel does not apply. They are above it. So, for example, there's all sorts of stories, and we are not here to diagnose and treat here. We are here to discuss and empower. That's right. We are here to help those people who have been abused, marred, defiled, told, repeatedly that they are not good enough, suffered psychological, physical, and emotional abuse, that you can be empowered, meaning you can flick the bick on inside, meaning you can find that flint and steel and get that spark when it is next to humility. In other words, the humility that comes is often after humiliation. Humiliation is the tool. It's really one of the more powerful tools, I would say, in the narcissist or psychopathic toolkit that really takes people down. It really trips them up. It is like they're taking you, Bath, this is Fantasy Island. If you've ever watched Fantasy Island, do you remember that cute little guy who would welcome in that little plane, and he'd go and get, Ricardo Montalban and welcome all the guests and everything. So you think you're entering into the penultimate, which means really pretty ultimate relationship. This person is so exciting. They might even give you gifts that no one else has given you. They might even whisper sweet nothings that, gosh, no one ever did before. Do you see how they sort of snap into place? Oftentimes giving you the ride of your life, and you think, boy, this is sure a great change from my normal, everyday, quote unquote, humdrum existence. So a lot of people just they don't realize that they are jump on the bandwagon, the narcissist train, not the peace train, Natalie Merchant. No, you're not on the peace train with a narcissist or a psychopath. You are on a train that is sure to derail because they will love bomb, devalue, and discard. So this pattern is an indelible pattern, which is there time and time again, but it takes many different forms and manifestations. but the experience within is generally, like our gentleman said, that of feeling that your emotions are fragmented. So what is a fragment? For example, let's just see here. Okay, so if I have a crystal ball, or a crystal bowl, and if I were to take just this one piece and hold it up, I don't have a broken, okay, yes I do. If I were to hold up, well, what do you know? Peace and harmony is prepared today. If I were to hold up a broken shell, this is a fragment, okay? This pretty much, you bounce against a narcissist or a psychopath, they blew you off, they gave you the look, they gave you the stare, they did the do, whatever it is that they do, they lied, they manipulated, they ignored, that you felt hurt, betrayed, violated, especially over your boundaries. You know, your little white picket fence that surrounds you. You know, people have boundaries. We really, really want you to understand what the purpose of boundaries are and how they can be erected and illuminated from that sort of humble, you know, just sort of Joni Mitchell, Court and Spark. That's not what we're talking about. Although I love that album. Oh my God, one of my favorites. We are talking about the spark that comes after 100%, 1,000% humiliation, degradation, defiling, meaning to mar, to make impure, to defile, to make bad, to damage. So they know if they can fragment you, if they can take you from this, I'm sorry to have such a stupid, or, you know, not stupid, but this is actually a great example. Because shells are kind of like what your boundary is. So look at this little guy. So your shell, which is what it might look like, really rainbow or beautiful inside. I've got some really like beautiful ones, which are really luminescent. So your internal life is like that internal luminescence, that sort of, you know, where you go, oh, look at the pink, the blue, the green, the lines, the structure, the guys who get defined, who feel like the man or the woman, you know, those are your emotions defined. You know, I'm a bushcrafter or whatever, you know, I am. So your I am that gives you all the pearly, you know, good life inside. You know, you're not irritated. Okay, we're using some analogies here, but it's very important that you understand. So just like this, the fragment, the piece, the narcissist knows that if they can take your high hopes, you know, and crunch them down and sort of batter them to the ground and pick up a small, well, why don't we just go out this weekend? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just have sex? And they're fragmenting you. And, you know, you wanted all this, but you know what? You'll take this. It's pretty damaged. In fact, it doesn't even hold water. The poor mussel who is trying to live, he could never exist in here. But he might be hanging on, and then other fish are like repeatedly biting as they see sort of like a flailing limb, and they take out little pieces and you know, and it's very painful. So it's like an emotional bite that they take when they manipulate, when they have an insatiable need for power and control, when they live by rage alone, when they use aggression, belittling, condescension, brainwashing, and gaslighting. They will impair you, that wholeness. So like this little guy who is whole, he don't need nothing. And by the way, you all are whole. You all are like this big beautiful shell right here. You got no cracks. You got a fine, ooh, look at those cool growth lines, man. You've come a long way. In fact, you made it this far, didn't you? You are here. So you are here. Can I get a hallelujah? A hey, amen? Can I get a whoop whoop? Yeah, that's right. Peace and harmony. do the do, tell me the business. So you are whole, like whole foods. Remember, all the GMOs and that's all modified and it's not good for you. It doesn't have any nutrition. That's kind of like narcissist food. It might look like food, but it's modified in a laboratory, and so we get then used to the GMO taste. This is toxicity. Toxicity that is tinged with a bit of addiction, tinged with a bit of thirst. Ooh, nothing else satisfies like this person. Just like an alcoholic who, on their tongue, they thirst for that alcohol. Some people thirst for one alcohol. Some people who are alcoholic, they don't have power over alcohol. They are powerless over it. It has power over them. So, and they, will douse themselves till they're blacked out, and it doesn't matter. And they'll, it's very, very difficult. So what I'm saying is that inside you are this whole, but because of all the emotional abuse, the being misled, the pathological lies, and namely the violation of boundaries that damage, what would you rather be, have, or take sail on the high seas with? Would you rather be on a broken raft that you continually have to maintain and repair, and it sure ain't getting you anywhere, and you are losing a lot of energy because you cannot paddle it because it's not designed correctly? Or would you rather be bopping around like this, sailing the high seas and being healthy and being strong like this guy in here? This is who you are. The narcissist or the psychopath, part of their tool, their ammunition, is that they will not reflect back how beautiful, how smart, how strong, how unique, how intelligent, how caring, how very wonderfully warm you are, meaning unconditionally how you are. So, how you are. There has been a song stuck in my head repeatedly. Elvis Costello, Every Day I Write the Book. Now, it's been running through my head, and as you might know, I am a writer. And, I don't know why that song is playing in my head, but one of the real interesting aspects of that song, if you listen to it, it's called Elvis Costello, and folks, you can tell I grew up in the great 80s and 90s. Yes, I am here to represent those who grew up in the 80s and the 90s when we went to see the Rolling Stones, when there was concerts, when the people played, musicians, when, there wasn't a lot of techno. There was techno, but we're talking about a different music. So, we're talking about music of the 80s and 90s, dance music, real lively stuff, rock and roll, the blues, jazz, all that really kind of, and a lot of the, flock of seagulls. Anyway, all that come to being fun stuff. But so, that song particularly, and I've had a lot of friends before who are musicians, artists, very prolific painters, very accomplished, sophisticated painters that, hang in some of the largest institutions here and command, very high, sums for their work because they are so fine and incredible. Be it musicians like the Rolling Stones, be it an artist like a Monet, that is their talent. That is coming from within. So you have a similar little seed in there, even if it's the size of a mustard seed, or the size of a sesame seed on a sesame seed bun. It can be just that little. In fact, it can be even invisible to the naked eye, but it is within. So when you are with getting back to the song, so like the addiction. So in that song, there's a little chorus that talks about the way you kiss me. In other words, it's running around through the artist's mind. The way you kiss me, the way you kiss me, the way you kiss me. You can't get that, the way you kiss me, out of your mind. A catchy song. They are addictive, and it'll run like that. And this will create really what is known as like an addiction, ruminating thoughts, and really can cause dissociation, sort of from your own apparent wholeness. In other words, dissociation from the beauty of who you are. Why? Because the main tool of destruction to damage you, mar you, and defile you. We are talking about a lot of vocabulary. Peace and harmony. Thank you for teaching us this word. Peace and harmony. What is defile mean? What do they do little by little? The little condescending, little comments that are, tinged with a pat on the back. Oh, look, even though you might have just loved them, you might have just spent the weekend taking care of them or doing whatever, and giving your all to them, whatever that is. And then they go, oh, look at that zit on your face. Thank you for the wonderful weekend. Bye-bye. And they leave you looking at the zit on your face. And they go, wow, look at that peace and harmony. You've got a headlight. Bye. And they go walking off. And then that person is left hurt. Oh, my body isn't perfect. Oh, my body has a pimple. What do you know? I'm a teenager. I'm in my 20s, and I happen to have a zit. I happen to have a hair out of place. I happen to have my shirt untucked. Oh, my goodness. I don't have the right type of shoes on. I don't have the right type of tie for a gentleman. I don't have the right type of car for a gentleman. Thank you for the ride. Ha ha. So how many of you can own? And this is crucial to regaining your wholeness, whole foods, that which comes from the sun and soil. You are whole. But the narcissist, the psychopath, they have an inability, and oftentimes, basically, they have a real reason, a selfish reason to not have you be firing on all cylinders and seeing what's up. They don't want you to see things crystal clear. They don't want you to go after your dreams and go, yeah, let's have the house, the kids, the dog, the things that you want, the things that you have worked for, the things that you have pined for, the things that you have wanted, hung your ship on a star, and you'll do whatever. Oftentimes, people who are in these relationships are extremely, loyal through abuse, despite abuse. They will be loyal, committed, and never leave these people's sides. In fact, these people, oftentimes, even after a divorce, a breakup, their passing, these people are still the number one focus in their life. They have never been taught, allowed, or have been reflected back to, mirrored back, that your dreams, I can, yes, in other words, that love bond, that sort of, it doesn't have to be worked. It's, a feeling, they will trip you up. Yeah, we've got the whole thing. Yeah, we've got the whole thing. Yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, we're gonna rent a deep sea fishing boat, and then on our anniversary, I mean, all these promises, right? How many, you know? Okay, but more so, getting back, the rage, if on the psychopathic end. So if they only really feel rage, the psychopath knows they can't come out and just be like, hey, guess what? I'm dead inside. I don't feel anything and I need to use you. Is that okay? If I abuse you, bite you, kick you around, bruise you, and then call you back to love me even more, would that be okay? Most people would be like, what? So, of course, that's why it is so hidden. That is why it is so covert. That is why they break people down and leave you as a fragment. And you're like, this is my home life. And then here's another little broken piece, that comes along. If this was your parent and then you really, you weren't taught that you were loved, and then you kind of take that broken piece and then you go to school and then you're trying to learn. And yet you don't feel quite like everybody else because, everybody else is kind of like this and you're feeling kind of like this on your good days. And you might even be feeling like this on your okay days, and you might be even feeling like this, at the end of the day, not even worthy of having a relationship, love, a job, hugs, kisses, you name it, whatever it is on your dream list. How many of you have made this is your dream that you can fulfill, and how many of you are sitting right now with this, or worse yet, with a piece that someone just insensitively broke off and left you to traipse away and deal with a life of hurt, embarrassment and humility, shame, degradation and belittling. Why? Because if a narcissist, a psychopath, can grind you down, boy, you really can't see them. You can't really articulate. So it's to their advantage to cut you down, to be critical, to judge, to make it seem, notice how I said to make it seem as if they are that excitement. So for our gentlemen, coming back to the numb all over. So that is the deadening inside. In other words, oh my God, this is me. I am like 2 years away from the real me. I'm 3 years away. I'm 5 years away. I'm 10 years away. I'm 30 years away. You don't even know. And pretty soon you dissociate. People who dissociate mean they sort of check out. They are numb. They don't feel because it is, why? Because it is too painful. Like a muscle spasm that is just spasming. Their emotions might be quivering to the point where they could cry so hard they might never stop, like an ongoing water faucet. That is very uncomfortable, males and females. So if you're going to go out with all this and you come around with all your emotions, quivering and broken and hurt and scared and not able to resolve, understand, work through, they'll make sure you don't, because they'll make sure that they isolate you, take up your time, make sure that you're unhealthy enough to see the red flags, to have a two-way communication, to hold them responsible and accountable, particularly for the false promises, the lies, and fair treatment, which is respect, which they will steal and rob from you or really sort of make blind to you. So even though this whole you is there in your essence, they will put on blinders, 30 below temperatures, and numb out your skin to the point where you can't feel what this feels like. You don't know if this is silk. You don't know if this is skin. You don't know if this is hair. You don't know what nice fleece leg warmers feel like. You cannot comfort yourself. You lose the ability to self-connect within. That is very scary. That is very uncomfortable. That leaves people dissociated, checking out, fragmented, compartmentalized, meaning, God, this is what someone did in my love life. That's where that is, and I can't have intimacy. This is what someone did like in my family life. I cannot get married. I cannot have kids. This is what someone did to me when I was trying to learn, and I cannot get a job. I cannot focus. All I have is the worry, the emotion of fear that, keeps me trembling and startled. And people will then have that rather than as a momentary jump. That jump, they'll be constantly on the jump, startling easily, or they might feel like they are never landed on ground. They are not whole. They don't have the experience. They cannot find that seed of wholeness. They do not get it within. They check out. And this is very tragic. This is very scary, like our viewer. And then they numb out, meaning they have to switch it down because it's basically like the Poseidon adventure. The ship is it's going down, man. The ship is going down. And you better clamor, fight, run, whatever you gotta do, drink, take whatever drugs to give you the energy, the stamina, the hangover so you cannot, function till you grit your way to the top and then try to survive. And then you find a lot of people just lose their grip and then they let go. And they can't ever get a grip and keep and hold it together. Maybe someone will get them back up like peace and harmony and say, what the bleep? Get the bleep out of the relationship, okay? That is not easy. This is a process. But I want you to understand a little bit more about the experiential, the kinesthetic, meaning that which moves through time and space. So when we talk about like the previous video and coming to a bliss state, you have to realize that the psychopath and the narcissist, they'll put many concepts within the mind that destroys and poisons the well, which is the heart, which is the heart which is perceptive of all the good and fun things. So, have you ever heard of someone who beats to the tune of their own drum? That person is happy as can be. They got their rhythm going. The psychopath and the narcissist, they will namely break your rhythm, that normal, natural percussiveness, the flow of a relationship. Nope. You'll be like, I mean, it will not, the moodiness. You might be shut out. You might get a smile. Then you might get a scowl. And you go, oh my God. And they might scowl at you and then shut the door. Meaning it's only for your eyes only. What a cruel trick to play. What a cruel way to treat somebody. But yet, this person can have all the money in the world, all the cars. Oh my God, not just any car. We're talking about $100,000 car. That person might have their heart together. I better think, people go, my God, look at that Maserati. Yet, what happened at that person's home life? What did that person just do to their spouse, their kids? You do not know. And do people not question? No, they don't question. Why? Because in a materialistic society that is oftentimes run or perpetrated by people who are psychopathic, narcissistic, and don't feel bad about false advertising, misrepresentation, lack of integrity or ethics. Those people can rob the poor, even if it's through inflation. A few couple of other, extra cents on everybody. It gives all of us, at the top a bonus. We always hear the stories about the boss at a corporate whose bonus was 20 million, but they let go 40,000 people to keep their business going. And they have no care, lack of remorse, that those people can just be swept away. Bye. Thank you for 20 years of your life, giving us 20 years to this corporation, this institution, your life, blood, sweat, and tears, oftentimes to putting the most important things to you, life, love, family, on the back burner. How many people have felt they had to lose all this to a psychopath, that they don't have any of the good stuff in their life? The good stuff ain't the material. The good stuff ain't the Maserati, okay? Those guys, half the time, they're flipping their vehicle off the side of the road, and it's in a pile of flames and rubble. What good is that $2 million car or whatever now? Are they really the authority? Why can't you question them? Why? Because they always have a persona modification going on. They will, at all costs, keep that mask, that persona going on to the point where it's a true decoy. It's a true shell of what appears to be a human being, but they are literally empty and vapid inside. What is vapid, peace, and harmony? Empty. They are empty. What does it mean to defile? To sully, mar, or spoil. Oh, they're so spoiled. Well, the land was defiled by the previous owner. So if the land was defiled by the previous owner, they might have dumped a lot of toxic waste. They might have left a lot of plastic drums on laying waste that will never, ever be broken down by the great creator, this planet. They might, just lay waste, meaning make uninhabitable. They might ruin an entire climate. They might ruin an entire rainforest, and they have no remorse. You just shut off oxygen for such and such, amount of people through all this smoke. And, hundreds of species are dying that will never, ever, ever be able to walk this earth again. Irreversible nerve damage within people's bodies. They don't care. That's pretty devastating, to not want to save an endangered species and being like, yep, I don't care if I destroy this beautiful butterfly that there's only 500 left of in the world, this limited edition. Ha ha ha, look at me, who's the boss now? I just took it away from you. Ha 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 ha. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the years of your do. Bye-bye. Okay. So that, and we're talking about that when so oftentimes this is emotional abuse, violation of boundaries, of personal, emotional, physical, psychological boundaries, where they're able to take advantage of your true human needs and turn them against you, making you feel wrong, making you feel out of place, making you feel ashamed. And if they can just poison the water, poison the well, poison your heart just a little bit, so you go, whoa, I'm dizzy. And you go, wow, let me get that kiss again. Let me get that little narcissist. They're so exciting. The psychopath. Oh my God, whatever, something about them that is unlike anybody else. That is addiction. That is not, they're unlike anybody else. That is the addiction. That is their hook, line, and sinker talking. That is the psychopath yanking you out of your body and leaving you as a numb, fragmented, compartmentalized, apparent Gumby doll on the side of the road. That you feel, I am not even a person anymore. This arm stretches, this head stretches, this leg stretches. Okay, I'm okay now. That's what they want you to be. Deaf, dumb, blind, and mute. And if they can take you over, and you as a unique person, there is no one else like you. If you don't get the miracle of this, you're missing kind of a lot of the miracle of life. And don't take me as an expert, but this is just my feeling. Because each person is, you have a unique, special gift that is only in the unique combination of you. Your history, your lineage, your experiences, your dreams, what you've seen, what you've heard. No one else has been able to glimpse that wonderful sunrise or sunset that you captured with your own eyes. You captured that feeling. But that feeling, no. The narcissist or the psychopath, they won't let you own that goodness. And then people dissociate. You've heard someone say, they don't own their confidence. They don't own self-esteem. They don't own their I am. How tragic is that? How tragic is that? But that is like flint and spark. It might take a couple of flint and sparks to get that little spark and then light up your birch bark and light up your kindling and light up your little things and then your logs and everything else until you get to the hardwood and maples, and then you've got the hardwood going on. Okay, and this is not a sexual innuendo. We're talking about your emotional, I'm talking about your I am. Okay, we're talking about your I am. And experience what that means. I am. And so even without the words, even without the concepts, it's a feeling. It's a feeling that precedes the words. It is a feeling. It is an experience that precedes the words. And it is that connection, that sort of taking it back and getting to the feeling. But you oftentimes have been so far removed, way over here, and you're over here. You're, so far from the sun, you feel like Pluto or Neptune. I mean, so numbed out. That is because you have been so severed and been so pushed aside from your needs that you have brushed aside your needs. You've compartmentalized them, made them all nice and neat and organized for the narcissist and the psychopath. But you look so disorganized to them. Okay, we're bringing out some ugly faces. They are ugly. They are ugly, cold, beyond what the human could define as cold within, meaning the cruelty, the violation of you, the humiliation, the degradation, the turning around of your natural, normal needs, which makes you a natural, normal, human-loving being, which thrives, and not just survives, but takes joy and understands the miracle of life and has wonderful moments, and it knows how to navigate the day and sleep and eat right and knows all these things and doesn't have to get themselves into a lot of trouble and overdo and people please to feel good enough and do all these other conditions that you can never satisfy. The list might be infinite. The list is infinite. So when you're feeling this, that is, in my feeling, dissociation, where the person sort of checks out. In other words, the body is thirsting and quenching to resolve and address the needs, but they're just sort of like zombie-like. And what if, you bring this to work, man, you bring this to a relationship. Hey, honey, who do you want to hire? You want to hire this or you want to hire this? You want to date this fragment or you want to date this? What do you want? Then so the person knows, oh my God, I can't survive. I can't survive on my own. I'm so broken. Holy guacamole, Batman, let me put that in the corner. I'll come back to that later. In fact, let me throw that in the cabinet. I never, ever want to look again. I don't want to look at my grades. The kids say, I don't want to see my school report. I'm not going to look. It is too painful that they are in school. They're not able to pass their class. It is so painful. They cannot own it. They have to dissociate. It reminds me of one time I was getting my hair done and my hairstylist was telling me, and this was a new gal, was telling me about, her apparent problems. She did not know that I had, that this I am very familiar with, and she did not know. She proceeded to tell me about her therapy and a lot of the reasons she had with dissociation, meaning it's kind of like people have an out-of-body experience. They feel like they're not really there. Almost like they're not really in the room. I can't really socialize. I can't really go up and say hi. I can't even ask for a drink. I can't even go to the grocery store. I can't even do. And these are the basics. And they just lose ownership. They dissociate. They just let go. They can't, get that one little snap and get it in. They miss the snap. It does not snap down. The flint and spark, it ain't sparkin' sparky. It ain't groovin' groove-yo. It ain't funkin' funk-yo. It ain't doing, boy. It ain't. No, it is out. It is dark. It ain't life. It ain't love. And it sure ain't charming, pretty, worth 20 million, worth the mansion, all that, the fantasy. Welcome to Fantasy Island, Beth. Step aside the plane, Beth. No, then you're on the island going, get me the bleep out of here, peace and harmony. Can you frickin' send a plane? I don't know where I am. I am sending out prayer, smoke signals. I can't, can anybody hear me? And nobody understands. You are too scared to bring this fragment to somebody that goes like this, and they go, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they just pass you by. There goes the teacher that you need. There goes the grocery store trip. There goes the job. There goes this class you should have taken. There goes your focus. There goes the holiday that you missed. And here you are, and you're wondering, like, why can't I? Why can't I? Well, if someone has reflected this back to you, when you're like this, when you're pretty damn whole and you've given them all of this and they give you this and you go, God, something doesn't seem right here, peace and harmony, but they're so exciting. They've got such a great car. they're so cute. They're so fill in the blank. They're so. Why don't you write that down? What is it? They're my teacher. They're my boss. They're my husband. They're my wife. They're my mother. They're my daughter. They're my grandma. I can't let this person go. In other words, the feeling is very, very repeatedly, if I let this person go, I lose everything. If I let this person go, I have nothing. If I let this person go, no one will love me. If I let this person go, I'll be all on my own and I can't make it. I don't have what it takes to survive. This is the self-talk. So oftentimes you don't hear the negative self-talk. So that is what's going on, but you are made deaf, dumb, and blind to the beauty, the power, the talent, the uniqueness, the miracle that you are. You are not allowed to experience that. Why? Because you might see the red flags and expose that guy for even less than less is. Okay? Does the narcissist want to be called out? Does the psychopath want to be challenged? No. They want, to have what they need, and when they are done with you, they will act like they never ever knew you at all. I mean, it is a really strange phenomenon, and they have no sense of bond or connection. There ain't no super glue holding that bumper together. There ain't no duct tape, bungee cord strong enough in the world that could really keep them bonded. They don't have an ability. They are dysfunctional. They are the ones who are dysfunctional. But according to the outside, it is that little superficial, all the people see. Wow, look at that Lamborghini. Look at that Lambo. That guy's cool. It is just that. And you cannot define someone by their car. You cannot define someone. And once you have seen, this and the very darkness that is, like most of our people have said, there's a statement from Maya Angelou that says, once people tell you who they are, believe them. So this is also known as, word salad, narc talk, psychopath, word salad. In other words, it's used as an enigma, as a way to confound their victim. So yes, people are targeted, relentlessly targeted for a year, maybe 3 years, maybe 40 years, maybe a couple months, whatever it is. They will give you a shelf life. But you ain't got no shelf life. That's, to them, that is their concept of the mind, projected and applied to you. That you, because of all their insecurities, they disown. They do not acknowledge. They disown all their own, and they project it onto others. Look at the pimple on your face when it's actually that person has the blemish and they are not able to have. They are not marriage material. They are not commitment material. They are not boss material. They truly are not of all, what you're needing. Friendship material, mentor material, leadership material. They are not. So inside, it's very important that you can say, there's someone who is very beautiful on the outside. Have you ever known someone, but inside there is an ugliness that words cannot even define? It is a feeling of, even colder than Alaskan cold, even colder than well, maybe North Pole, but you're the Santa Claus, okay? You are the one who has elves. You are the Santa. They are the wicked, and as defined oftentimes as the evil, meaning that which causes harm, malice, and defile. What does defile mean? Peace and harmony. To sully, mar, or soil. To desecrate or profane something sacred. You are the sacred. You are to experience that within and have that own sacred space, but you are deprived, separated from that, severed, and then the dissociation, which is that numbness, checking out. And I was saying, my hairstylist, and we'll wrap this up in a few minutes. Oh yeah, so she was dissociating, and she told me about this, but she was rinsing my hair, and I swear to God, she rinsed my hair for no less than 20 minutes. 20 minutes that I sat there, and she's the one who's rinsing out the hair chemicals or whatever. So I'm not there to tell the beauty person how to do their job. Like, excuse me, but I think it's all rinsed out right now. And then, after 5 minutes, like, in other words, let's just say, for example, after 5 minutes, it's then after 7, you go, should I say something? You go, no, that would be awkward. Let me just wait. You go after like about 10 minutes, they're really getting down. I mean, your hair is now getting completely, all the good stuff is leached out because the water is very drying. And then everything, all the work that they've done, all the whatever they put in, the hair color, the conditioning, the perm, whatever they did, is all the work that they just did. Like, let's say, as a woman, you're getting highlights, and a lot of these processes can take a long time, to get it right. And all that work, you might have sat there for an hour or 2 hours. All that work you spent getting there, getting ready, and in the chair. Then all of a sudden, right as soon as they finish it, they just wash all the good stuff right out. So like, that's what she was doing. And it got on, I was so embarrassed. I did not want to confront her, but obviously because I knew she was dissociating, and I didn't want to say, ma'am, I think you're dissociating. Like, I think we're okay. Like, I didn't want to say that, although I should have. But that person was literally checking out, like, on the watch. She was not there in time and space. So, that is dissociation. So you have to realize it feels so separate and distinct because you haven't allowed that sort of cohesiveness and closure to come from within. So, that is why that is. And then, to realize, so you need to reflect back and really see, like, who is giving you less than wholeness, who, and really and then sort of to wrap it up here, coming then to say, I can own that that's a red flag. I can own that my value is that's not a good way to treat people. I can own the value that cheating on someone is not good. I can own the value that being a corporate leader and stealing from everyone else who works there is wrong. I can say, yeah, that's me. So once you can kind of get to that sort of, in getting to know, become reacquainted with yourself. Oh, peace and harmony. You might have had little glimpses and pieces of yourself, pieces of you. Who wrote that? Jewel. Okay, in other words, you guys, this is a human experience. You are not the only one to scream and cry out. Listen to some of those songs. Relate to them. Listen to Britney Spears' Toxic without thinking, oh, isn't that funny? It's so toxic. Oh my God. No, it's like, she might be dancing, but I think, from the news, Britney Spears knows what the bleep toxic or destructive means. And you see how she's reclaiming herself. We've just talking about her being released from her conservatorship after, 13 years of being separated from, her personal spending. She did not have even seen cash, that she could count on. I mean, I'm not following all the tabloids, but I'm just saying, she was not allowed to have a social life and all these different things. So right now, she is becoming reacquainted with what it means to be able to have a cash dollar and go get a bag of pretzels if you want it, or go and go out for a drive because you still have your driver's license, and to be able to fall in love and go on a date because you're not maybe shut in your house, you're not becoming a shut in, you're not being told that you're too needy. You're too needy. You want a hug? That's too needy. You need guidance. You're too needy. You need to be able to, protect yourself. You're too needy. When in fact, you need to have love. That's right. I love you. You need a kiss. That's right. I'll kiss you. You need a hug. I'll hug you. You need someone to listen. I will listen to you, and respond back via empathy, which means I understand that this is frustrating. This has got to be hurtful. So when you understand what and can feel, they don't have the ability. They are lacking in that skill. So they don't have that whole repertoire in a bag of chips. They've got black and they've maybe got white. And they maybe have some gray. Okay? And then that leads to black and white thinking, all or not thinking. I hate myself thinking. I reject myself thinking. I sabotage myself thinking. I give up on my dreams thinking. I give up on my everything. So this is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Remember, you are this I am that is whole, deserving, and desirable. Okay? The narcissist and the psychopath, they might have taught you something else. They might have taught you this. They might have taught you, in fact, with this, why don't you go sit in the corner? In fact, with this, why don't you just stay behind? In fact, because they can't reflect back to you this. Because inside, to the world, they look like this, but inside, you know better. You have to know. And this is an experiential in your heart, which you will come to know. It is not a cerebral understanding. Can I think my way out of this one? You will eventually feel and discover and acknowledge and validate, and being able to own that when you are ready. When you are ready to say, this person told me who they were when they said they were dangerous, when they said they were cold, when they said da 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 and they thought they were laughing. I'm a ladies' man, I'm a woman, blah, blah, blah. What did they tell you? And you just kind of go, oh. And they put that in a word salad and made it seem desirable. I'm dangerous. Oh, I'm mean. The show Cruella. You won't ever see me watching that Disney Plus show. No, thank you. No, thank you. Give me a cozy fire and nothing else. Sit there naked with a fire. I would rather sit there and be warm and embrace myself and hold my bleep together than be subjected to a black and white thinking treatment of a figure such as a Cruella, be it a male, a female, a narcissist, or a psychopath. You don't deserve that. Do not be fooled by their Facebook. Don't be fooled by their Instagram. You know that's all their personality and facade maintenance. It oftentimes has nothing to do with reality. It has everything to do only with appearances. What do you want? Do you want appearances only? Do you want appearances only and then you go home to nothing? Do you want appearances only and no one has ever heard you? No one has ever listened to you? And you don't ever feel heard? Or would you like to acknowledge the flint, the humility, the humbleness, and the spark that will come within, not as an extreme thrill, excitement, date, you just won the lottery, fantasy island trip. Welcome to Fantasy Island, Beth. Yeah, that person is so drunk on themselves, you would think that they had gauze in their mouth. They're bleeding out the profanities against human nature. No wonder people can't articulate. They've had their heart muffled out. They've had their voice stifled, muffled out, oppressed, pushed down. They've had it fragmented. They've had it compartmentalized. Goodbye. And they've been pushed in the corner, shoved in the back of the classroom, put in the dunce seat. Who likes it there? Anybody want to take the risks with a narcissist or psychopath again and end up like this at the end of the day? Or would you rather feel warm, cozy, intact, and then attracting more like people to you who can listen, even who are more kind to you in the matter of a span of a couple minutes than the lover that you gave yourself to for a lifetime?